All right, guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Web Slingers Podcast. This is the one and only show where we talk about all things Spider-Man and the Marvel Universe. And we're just gonna talk about everything going on. We got some news to talk about. We got the newest episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier to review, and we have a bunch of questions that were sent in from you guys, and we're gonna get into those in just a little bit. But before we do that, let's go ahead and let's talk. First of all, let me run down a couple things. If you haven't checked out the new episode of the Zeke Said So show, it is up on the podcast feed. You guys can go and check that out when you guys do get a chance to. You guys can also find the YouTube channel. There's a brand new video on the YouTube channel, on the Zeke Said So YouTube channel, and there will be more videos coming in the following weeks. Let's see, what else do we got here? Do we got anything else to announce? Nope, we're good. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get right into the movie news. And the first news topic we're going to get into is this. Josh Keaton hopes to return in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. Josh Keaton was recently in an interview. For those of you who don't know, Josh Keaton was the voice of Peter Parker in the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series. He voiced Peter Parker in that series, and he, I think he's my favorite, version of that character. He's my favorite actor to have played that character. Movies, television, live action, animated, whatever. He's my favorite actor to have played Peter Parker. Just because I believe he understands the character. He really, portrayed the character the way the showrunners were trying to. He was able to convey the emotions that were needed to portray that version of Peter Parker, which I feel like is the best adaptation of the Peter Parker / Spider-Man story. So, but he was recently in an interview, and he talked about how he does hope to return in Spider-Verse 2. And all he had to say was, "Fingers crossed, I get some good news." So not really much there. Honestly, I would love to see Josh Keaton return, just because, again, you guys know how much I love the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series. I think it is the best Spider-Man adaptation we've had. And I also do believe that that Josh Keaton is personally my favorite Peter Parker / Spider-Man. He is my favorite Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland and I love Tobey Maguire, but Josh Keaton, for me, really understands the character. At least his version of the character was at least the version that I remember from the comics. You know, this kid who had a very hard time balancing his life. You know, his life as Spider-Man, and balancing that with the life of him being a high school student. As much as I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I don't really think those movies have explored that aspect. They've explored the high school aspect of it all, but they haven't really explored, like, oh, I'm going to be late for class because I'm too busy fighting crime. You know, like in the there's an episode of the Spectacular Spider-Man where Peter gets fired from Dr. Connors, he gets let go from the Dr. Connors internship because they think he snuck off to take photos of Spider-Man fighting the Lizard, you know? And I want to see more of that. Like, I want to see more of that struggle that, you know, Tobey Maguire got this a little bit, like in Spider-Man 2, you know? Baka, you're always late, huh? I'm sorry, Mr. Aziz, there was a disturbance. Yeah, see, like that opening scene right there tells you, okay, he's late for work because he was busy doing the Spider-Man stuff, you know? Or him being late to MJ's play in Spider-Man 2, where he's doing the Spider-Man things, but he's constantly late, and he's having a hard time balancing that out. And I don't think, and for me, the Spectacular Spider-Man and the way Josh Keaton plays that voices that character, the way he's able to get the emotion across through his voice, I think is a perfect representation of that Spider-Man that I love, of that Peter Parker that I find relatable. That's why I loved Peter Parker, was that he had those struggles. It wasn't just the fact that he was a nerdy high school kid who just happened to get bit by a radioactive spider. It was the fact that he was a nerdy kid, bit by a radioactive spider, and he's also having the worst time figuring out how to balance everything in his life. That's what I found so interesting about the character. And I just hope that we can get Josh Keaton to come back and play that character again, because I feel like, and plus I also feel like there's been a good amount of distance between when the show was canceled and between and now that they're that I think fans of that show, now that fans like myself, fans of the show like myself are a bit older now, we would be more into the idea of seeing that version of Spider-Man, and we would understand, okay, yeah, that's the same Spider-Man from the Spectacular Spider-Man anime series. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you this right now. If Spider-Verse 2 opens up with the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series theme song, I will pee my pants and create a puddle in the aisle of the movie theater. I will do that, because it will be the most amazing thing. And what I will do after the movie, I will buy a ticket and just not. I will buy 3 more tickets to see that movie again. Because that's just what I would do. Like, because that theme song, man, it's anyway. Let's go ahead and move on. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about, so let's go ahead and move on. But overall, guys, I'm excited for it. Would really love to see Josh Keaton return, either in Spider-Verse 2 or, gosh dang it, my Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3. Anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. And the next topic is this. Chloe Zhao is still working on a final cut of Eternals. Eternals is set for release this November. The editor for Eternals was in an interview recently and talking about the film, and mentioned that the editor's name is Dylan Titchener. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that last name, man, but the editor had this to say. He says, quote, "I'm working right now with Chloe Zhao. Chloe edits her movies and she has strong opinions, but she also wants to know everything I'm thinking. And frankly, we did the whole first cut without much input from her in terms of takes or this or that." Let's see, where am I at here? Okay. Yeah. And she just watched it. And the things she wants to tweak, we tweak. But by and large, she has really relied on our experience and our point of view. That's why we're hired, for our creativity and our experience and sense of humor. but I think that makes the best results. And this isn't really uncommon for Marvel movies. Marvel has in the past worked up until the very last minutes to make their movies. Heck, there's an infamous story that Kevin Feige tells all the time that Joss Whedon made a joke about the Avengers eating shawarma, right? And sorry guys, I'm trying to open this bottle of sparkling ice. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry guys. I'm just really thirsty here. Give me a second. So, this isn't uncommon for Marvel. Marvel has worked up till the last minute before. Like I mentioned, Joss Whedon Kevin Feige tells the story how Joss Whedon joked about them eating shawarma, and then the week of the premiere for the Avengers, during the press junkets, it was after the premiere, the day after the premiere, they went to a little shawarma restaurant in LA and just filmed it, and they had to put a bunch of makeup on Chris Evans because he had a beard at the time. So that's just an example of how late Marvel has worked up to the final process, Um, so it doesn't really surprise me that that Chloe Zhao is still working on Eternals because because Chloe Zhao is one of those directors who she's one of those directors, and I respect this of her. She's one of those directors, I believe, who wants the best product, who absolutely 100% needs the best product. And I feel like her work, like in No Man Land, but also the writer, she is a bit of a perfectionist, I believe. At least that's just what I'm assuming because her movies have just been so great. Chloe Zhao, if Chloe Zhao wants to keep editing the movie, keep editing the movie. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the final top movie news topic, and that is this. This really. A lot of people have been telling me that this news topic belongs on the Zeke show, but because it does have ramifications because it does tie into the Spider-Man universe, I'm gonna talk about it here. A big deal has been made with Sony and Netflix. Netflix has purchased the streaming rights for Sony's upcoming films in a multi-year contract for $1 billion. They have spent $1 billion for a multi-deal film. And also, this deal also works out in the sense that not only is Sony going to get $1 billion just for taking the deal, but while the movies are on Netflix, Sony gets a cut on all of the movies that get viewed from them. So that's pretty exciting actually. For them. Good, it's good for them. Let's see. What was I talking? Oh yeah. The entire Sony library, including the Spider-Man films, will go to Netflix. Will go to Netflix. Netflix will keep them on there for, can't remember if it was 16 months or I can't remember how long they'll be on Netflix, but then if Netflix wants them back, they're going to have to pay Sony another a little bit of money to get that back, to get that movie on their service. So that is very cool. And this includes all of the Spider-Man films. So, most likely the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is going to be on there. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 are probably going to be on there. Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home might end up being on there. And I think, because Sony does own the distribution rights for the Spectacular Spider-Man, I think they're going to end up putting the Spectacular Spider-Man seasons 1 and 2 on Netflix. I don't know that for sure, but I think they might end up doing that, which is where I discovered the show. I discovered the series on Netflix. I think I was watching it back in I think I first watched it in 2011. This was far after it was canceled, but I first discovered the show on Netflix, and I just watched every episode and kind of just fell in love with it. But I think I think that will end up on Netflix too. But it's not just the Spider-Man films; it's also Jumanji, a lot of other Sony produced movies. Will I believe Bad Boys. I think Bad Boys for Life is gonna end up being on there. I believe Bad Boys is a Sony Pictures movie. I can't remember, but either way, this is very good, especially for Sony because they don't have their own streaming service, and they're kind of a free agent right now. So they're just like, hey, you know what? Whoever wants dibs on our movies, you go right ahead and you give us money, and we will let you borrow. We will give you the streaming rights for this movie. Companies like Disney's not. If Disney's gonna get something on their streaming service, they're gonna own it. And Sony's not gonna be willing to sell the rights to Spider-Man because Marvel already has the rights to the television shows and the merchandise. Because Disney has been very smart about this. Sony only has the rights to make Spider-Man movies. Animated or live action. They have the rights to make Spider-Man movies. Disney, when they bought Marvel back in 2012, or it might have been 11. 2012 or 11, I can't remember. But when they bought the streaming rights, they were able to get the television rights. When they bought the rights for when they bought Marvel, they were able to get the television rights and the merchandising rights. So that's why Sony had to cancel the Spectacular Spider-Man, because they could not continue it because Disney was going to just create their own Spider-Man series, a whole new Spider-Man series, which was, I'll just say it right now, that was fucking stupid. Don't get me wrong, I liked Drake Bell as Spider-Man, but I just did not like that series. I thought it was so bad. And even this new one that they have on Disney XD is so bad. But that's why Sony had to cancel the Spectacular Spider-Man in the first place. But now Sony's in this incredible position where it's like, Disney, you want the rights to put Spider-Man Homecoming on Disney Plus? Well, we ain't selling it to you. You're going to have to freaking borrow it from us. And if we want it back, you have to give it back to us. And Disney's not going to take that, because any content that's on Disney Plus, Disney wants to own. It's not like gosh. It's not like the merchandising and TV rights where they just get to keep those. No. Sony at this point is just like, well, you want Spider-Man Homecoming on Disney Plus? You want to put that along your MCU catalog? Well, guess what? We're not going to sell it to you. You want to know why? Because it's our property. That movie is Even though, yes, Marvel helped produce it, that is Sony's movie. That's why you don't see Spider-Man Homecoming or Spider-Man Far From Home on Disney Plus, because those movies are owned by Sony. Sony has a lock on those movies, which Sony has been playing that card very, very smart. Because, oh yeah, Kevin Feige, we'll let you come in and we'll let you help us make these movies, but just keep in mind, you don't own these movies. We own them. And I think it's interesting. It's just an interesting thing. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for all the Marvel news that we got for today. Let's go ahead and move on to review Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And before we do that, I got to remind you guys, this is going to be spoilers. We are going to give all spoilers for Falcon and Winter Soldier. You have been warned. If you have not seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, please go away. So without any further ado, let's get into Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 4, titled The Whole World is Watching. Alright, so we're in spoiler territory now. Oh my gosh, this episode was great, you guys. This was a great episode this week. This was such a good freaking episode. First of all, what an ending. What an absolute freaking ending. John Walker, Battlestar gets kicked to the stone pillar. He dies. John Walker goes there and he's pissed. Like, you can see it in his face. He's pissed. Runs out and just proceeds to smash this dude's head with the shield. With a huge crowd of people recording it, and the shield has blood on it. That was so satisfying. Such a powerful ending. Such a disturbing ending to an MCU TV show that we've had yet. But let's actually talk about this episode. So, first of all, I really love the way this episode opened with seeing Bucky finally letting go of the Winter Soldier, of not being triggered by those words that were used in that book. I love that, and I love seeing him in Wakanda trying to deal with that. I loved seeing trying to think. I love seeing the kind of the back and forth chemistry between Bucky and Io or however you pronounce her name. I like that kind of relationship. I loved the fact that they gave us a lot with the villain. Marvel is getting better and better at giving us really complex villains, and I love that, because what was the biggest problem with Marvel? Their villains were always the weak point. Guardians of the Galaxy 1, villain was pretty weak. Thor: The Dark World, villain was the worst part of that movie. Iron Man 3, villain was the worst part. You know, they had issues with villains, but it seems like with the Phase 3 villains like Ego, with Zemo, Ego, Vulture, Hela, and then Thanos, I feel like all of those villains have been very complex and very fleshed out. Even Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, very complex, very you empathize with those characters. Weirdly enough, you emphasize with even Thanos. Like Thanos, yes, he's doing the wrong thing. Yes, he's wiping out half the universe, but you understand where he's coming from. You know, and I love that. And the villain, the leader, the Carly, can't remember what her last name is, but Carly, who's the leader of this Flag Smashers group, you empathize with her. You understand where she's coming from. And even Sam, in that great scene, Sam is like, no, I support your fight. I just can't get behind how you're fighting it. And I love that. I think it's so powerful and so emotional. Um, let's see. I loved, um, I loved, Zemo. I think Zemo is really good in this movie, in this episode. I think I have a theory that he actually might be the power, that he might be playing everyone. He might be the one pulling the strings behind this whole thing. That's just me. I do believe he's the man behind it all. Um, I don't know if he is for sure, but I do believe so. Um, let's see. Oh, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I loved Sharon Carter's small appearance in this. I think it's very great to see her kind of becoming a bit of a main character. I don't know. I just really like Sharon Carter. I really like that character. Um, but let's talk about the standout of this episode. My favorite part of this episode, John Walker. I've always liked the John Walker character so far in this series. I got to empathize with him a little bit more. Um, and this episode made me empathize with him way more than I liked him way more in this episode than I have in the previous episodes, because they showed you what his biggest flaw is as a character. He's got a temper, and he does not know how to control it. The only person who can stop him from doing something stupid is his best friend, Lamar, or otherwise known as Battlestar. You know, he's the only person who can rein him in. You know, and I love the chemistry that they had, and I loved that scene after the fight with the door. Which, by the way, that fight with the Dora Milaje was awesome. It was awesome seeing that fight. But then that conversation they have after, like after that fight, he just looks down and he's bummed out. He's just like, they weren't even super soldiers. And of course, this was after he got a hold of the super soldier serum. But he just looks down and he's just like, they weren't even super soldiers. And we see him that he wants to live up to that Captain America name. And it's like in that moment, he's like, if Steve Rogers was fighting these guys, he wouldn't have lost. And I'm trying to live up to that. And I love that. I also love that moment where he talks to his friend, and he's like, oh, what does he say? He goes, would you take the serum if you could? And he says, his friend goes, Lamar, he's like, yes, I would. And he tells him, you are a good person. But he's like, yeah, but I've done some bad things. I've done some terrible things, And in that moment, that was a great callback to the first Captain America film where Erskine tells Steve Rogers, good becomes great. Bad becomes worse. Now, John Walker isn't necessarily a bad person, but he's got a temper. And he's got the mentality of a soldier. Steve Rogers didn't have the mentality of a soldier. He just had the mentality of a good-hearted person. John Walker has the mentality of a soldier, which, soldiers, in the military are like, it's either you or the enemy. And that's the thought process that John Walker has, which is why I believe that the serum amplified that, and that's why he killed that flag smasher. And also, you want to know why I truly love that ending? Is because this, I believe, is going to have ramifications for the for the entire show, but also for the entire MCU. Because a group of people are sitting there recording this, and it's a video of quote unquote Captain America killing somebody who is seen in the video surrendering. You know, that dude had his hands up. At least in the public's eyes, that dude had his hands up and was surrendering. And he killed him anyway. That is going to have major ramifications going forward. And I love that. I loved seeing that. And I love seeing that the MCU is not treating these superheroes like they're perfect saints. Because in most comic book movies, the hero does nothing wrong. The hero does everything right. No, these heroes have problems. They make dumb choices. They make really stupid decisions. Like, example, Wanda Maximoff is the hero. She helped the Avengers save the universe. She comes down and almost kills Thanos. Is powerful enough to almost kill Thanos. And we love her for that. But then when we meet her in WandaVision, she's entrapping people and making them buy into and making them fit in her reality. And I love that. I think it's so powerful and so just, God, I love what the MCU is doing. I just love what the MCU is doing now. It's just so great. So I love that. I got nothing else to say, guys. I love this episode. I thought it was perfect. For me, this episode is the best episode of the series. For me, it's a perfect 10 out of 10. I love this episode. I thought it was so fantastic, and I can't wait to see how this show continues. We only got 2 more episodes, guys. 2 more episodes after this. I'm getting all giddy and excited. Can you tell in my voice I'm excited? So excited. I can't wait. But anyway, guys, that will do it. So now let's get on with the next segment of this of this episode. Ask the Spider-Verse. All right, and now let's get into the first question in the Ask the Spider-Verse segment. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. First question is, thoughts on the film Black Panther? I love it. It's one of my favorite MCU films, and talk about we talked about the best villains. I think Killmonger is one of the best Marvel villains. So there's that. What do you think is the best and worst Marvel film from 1998 through 2007? So basically, from Blade to Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. That was part of the question, by the way. That wasn't me just adding it. That was actually part of the question. Wow, from Blade all the way to Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. There's a lot of really bad ones, but there's also a lot of really good ones. I think the best film out of that era is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Because Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, it's not so much of a it's not really a superhero movie. That movie portrays itself more as kind of like a character study. And I love that. it's more of a character study on Peter Parker than it is a movie about Spider-Man doing his cool Spider-Man-ish stuff. That's why I think it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And also my favorite scene in that movie, entire movie is when is that moment where Peter is having that vision and he sees Uncle Ben, and he just, Uncle Ben is saying, take my hand, Peter. And he just goes, no, Uncle Ben, I'm just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man, no more. And then he takes the suit, throws it in the trash can, and the camera fades. I know you guys can probably hear those dogs outside going, arr, arr, arr. Anyway, they're still going, but I'm just gonna keep going. Sorry, half the time that's really distracting. So, but yeah, no, that's one of my favorite moments. The camera fades to black, and it actually leads into what I think one of the funniest sequences of the movie, which is the raindrops keep falling on my heads montage, where you just see him just freaking going about his day. And there's that one moment where a freaking ambulances and fire trucks and cops drive by. And he just looks at it and just takes the giant bite of a hot dog, and he's just like, he just basically in that moment he just said, I don't give a shit. Like, I just love that so much. And then that dumbass grin that he gives at the end of the montage is, I think, hilarious. I know a lot of people aren't gonna find that funny, but I found it fucking hilarious. But what is the worst Marvel film from this era? Again, there's a lot. Because here's the thing, between this era, you had some really bad ones, like the 2003 Hulk movie. You had obviously Fantastic Four, X-Men: The Last Stand. Let's see, Ghost Rider. There's a lot of really bad movies that came out between this era. Blade Trinity, like, oh my god. I think for me though, the worst one is probably Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Because honestly, that movie just basically was one big slap in the face to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Because the character of Galactus is a fucking cloud. A giant purple cloud that just flies to Earth. Like, who wrote that? Who came up with that shit? You have Galactus, the greatest villain in the Marvel Comics, the most powerful villain in the Marvel Comics. You had an opportunity to bring that character to life, and you messed it up. Just, oh my gosh. Anyway, but I will say though, the one that comes very close to being worse than that is the 2003 Ang Lee Hulk movie. That comes really damn close. So, speaking of the Hulk movie from 2003, next question is Hulk 2003 or The Incredible Hulk, which is better? Well, easily The Incredible Hulk is better. Easily that's the better movie because it actually is a movie where Hulk does shit. What's the worst? I mean, like, obviously, don't compare. Like, honestly, the Incredible Hulk film is better because that 2003 Hulk movie with Ang Lee is just so. It's so boring. Nothing happens. Like, Hulk doesn't show up till like I believe 30 minutes into the 45 minutes into the movie. Then an hour into the movie, he fights Hulk poodles. What? What? Like seriously. And then Nick Nolte, when he comes in and absorbs the electricity, and then they fight and they go to the water and he absorbs the water and creates this giant like vortex, you know? It just, oh gosh, it was so bad. Oh, it was so bad. Um and yeah, no, I just, oh gosh, oh jeez. I'm having nightmares I'm having nightmares about yeah, I'm having nightmares. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Um would you rather see a Ghost Rider movie or a Disney Plus series? Probably a Disney Plus series. Actually, no. No, give us a movie. Yeah, give us a movie. I think Ghost Rider would work great in a film. You yeah. Yeah, just do that. Um all right. Who do you think is the power broker? I think Zemo is the power broker, ladies and gentlemen. Because I do believe that Zemo is the one pulling the strings of this whole thing. And I'm not going to give away spoilers as to I think why. Because it will because then I have to talk spoilers about the episode 4, and we just passed the spoiler mark. Um, but I do believe Zemo is the power broker. I do believe Zemo is the power broker. Um, Would you like to see Daisy Ridley as Spider Woman? Yes, yes. I think she'd be perfect for the character. I also do believe Daisy Ridley should get another shot at being the star of a big franchise because Star Wars kind of messed with, like, Star Wars kind of underutilized her talents. Unfortunately, they just kind of screwed with her character, and she wasn't able to give the performance that she wanted because they kept saying, "Oh no, this person's your father. Oh no, this person's your father. Oh, you're nobody." Blah, blah, blah. It's just it was a mess. So honestly, for me personally, I think she'd be a great Spider Woman. Um, so there's that. Favorite scene from Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. Easily for me, I've mentioned this hundreds of times, but it's the leap of faith sequence. And I'm not gonna get into a whole. I'm not, because then it'll make me cry. But that whole scene just resonates with me on an emotional level. Not just from when Peter tells him it's a leap of faith, but also just the scene, just the moment after that with Miles and his dad, where his dad is basically talking through the door. It's also another great scene, and I'm about to cry just thinking about it. But it's a great scene. I love that a lot. Um, Thoughts on dancing Zemo. Also, who would win in a dance off between Zemo, Emo Peter, and or Star Lord? First of all, that was actually one of my favorite moments of the episode, was seeing Zemo just do his little dance, and they released an hour-long version of Zemo dancing. They released the Zemo cut. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Who would win in a dance-off between Zemo, Emo Peter, and Star-Lord? Oh man, I don't know. That'd be that'd be funny to see though if we just saw Tobey Maguire show up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, go, "Oh, I'll put some dirt in your eye." Bum 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 bum. Da, 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 get on up, da, da, and to drive that. Anyway, anyway, let's move on. Oh man, that brought back so many bad memories. Anyway, scarred me for life. Okay, Do you think a Sinister Six movie could work? Yeah, I think a Sinister Six movie could work. Yeah, why not? Okay. With the Sony slash Netflix deal, do you think we could? Wow, let me try this again. Do you think we could see a Spectacular Spider-Man season 3? Um, it's hard to say just because Marvel owns the TV rights, and I don't know if Marvel would let them just have their own, would let Sony continue a series on Netflix. I just don't know if they would let them do that. So me personally, I don't know, but I'm telling you what, I would love to see it, especially now that Sony has this deal. I would love to see Sony just go, hey, you know what? Let's talk to Marvel and let's see about allowing them to let us make this season 3. Because fans want a season 3. The fans want a season 3 of the show. And they want to see Josh Keaton come back as Spider-Man. So, honestly, I don't know why Sony wouldn't just do it. But anyway. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this episode of the WEBSLINGERS Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you guys go ahead and go and check out all the episodes of the Zeke Sensor Show we got here up on the podcast feed. Make sure you guys... Wow, I'm tired. Make sure you guys go check out the a new episode. Well, no, scratch that. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and let's see, what else do I have to announce? Nothing. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.